Alright guys, welcome to the 50th episode of Below the Bar.
In this episode, expect to find out why you should come to Harry's next free event, what we think about Rishi Sunak's national service announcement,
And how to spot a running walt at your next race day.
let's get into it.
I'm liking this new setup.
Which fucking a lot less admin,
So much
isn't
easier.
it? So much. We can actually just turn up and gob off.
Yeah, we used to come in and it'd take about half an hour to set up, and then by the time we'd record, we'd already be at the end of our tether, which is not good.
Yeah, and then five minutes in, the audio would wrap anyway.
Yeah, so by the time you get like 3/4 into the podcast, we'd just be fuming.
So you have to allocate 4 hours
Yeah, that's true.
of a day, of an afternoon or a morning, just to kind of wrap up a 1 hour episode.
Yeah, and bear in mind, Ed lives about 2 minutes away from me, so it's not like the travel's the issue. So this is much better. Anyway, we're going to cover today, we're going to go through our old now segments, we don't do every time now, and do a little bit of a catch-up-y kind of thing.
Yeah, usual segments. Although there are changes afoot with the segments, I think we're gonna sub some in and out.
Yeah, we have just decided this.
Yeah, again, very off the cuff. So instead of having the set 3 segments, I think what we're gonna do is introduce a few more, and then kind of have rolling subs.
Rolling subs.
So
yeah,
some
I like
week, because I think some segments are relevant for, topics and some aren't. If that makes sense. So
Sometimes you need a Phil Foden, sometimes you need a Jack Grealish.
exactly.
Yeah,
so I think if we have kind of a back catalogue of about 6, and then
we can just roll in.
We can sub in and out as and when they're
Exactly,
necessary.
yeah. And then
then
we'll win the Euros.
we'll drip feed them in over the coming weeks and let us know what you think of them. But I think underrated, overrated is the first one to get subbed out.
Yeah, he's not performing.
He's not performing. He's putting in some very subpar.
Yeah, he's been sixes across the board for too long.
Yeah, he's Calvin Phillips. He's not even fit to train.
Yeah,
He's wrapped.
yeah. So we're going to sub that out. So look forward to next week. Are you going to do them next week? Do you reckon? Or it depends what we do. We'll see. But the next time we do segments, they'll be different. Is all you need to know. We're going to go normal sort of marching order.
Yeah, so we'll do helmet of the week.
Cool.
Then we'll go into the main body, which is a bit of a catch up, and then we'll round up with underrated, overrated, reasons to be cheerful.
Sick. Okay, so helmet of the week.
Helmet of the week.
I'll let you take the wheel.
Yeah, this is something that I've devised.
Yeah.
So obviously, for the uninitiated, I've ran kind of quite a few half marathons over the past month. So I've had a lot of exposure to kind of
Race day culture.
running culture, race day experience, etc. And something that's kind of become quite apparent to me are running waltz, as I've labelled them, or kind of stolen running valour.
Yeah, so typically stolen valour is when someone gobbles off about going to war they haven't gone to.
Yeah.
So in this context, it's gobbing off about a run that you haven't raced.
Yeah, and this feeds into what we were talking about in last week's episode about kind of wanky,
Relatability.
wanky, relatable, new age running culture. So this is typically kind of gymfluencer people who haven't signed up to a race but kind of know of people doing a race. So they'll still park themselves at the finish line and kind of milk content from the race without actually participating in it.
Yeah, and you need to qualify this because I'm all for going to support your fellow runners, right? But it's the content off the back of it. I think it's like taking the photo and be like at the race end with someone who's finished. Because if you're just scrolling through, you'll think, oh, they've done that. They've done 10K. You've got to read into it.
It's all about kind of the context, I guess, or the principle behind why you're there. So if you are there to cheer people on, 100% I can get behind that. If you're there because you know you can basically rap on your post for Sunday and just kind of cuff something together from the finish line.
Yeah, that you haven't crossed.
That you haven't crossed and that you're kind of you haven't run the race and you kind of you're there under the pretense that you're cheering people on, but you're not.
It's a disingenuous
Yeah,
appearance.
exactly. It's disingenuous. That's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to get to. I don't like that because you can spot them a mile off. They're also the people now that have jumped on this sign hype. You know how the spectators have all got to have a witty sign.
Well, that'll
now.
be one of their slide posts.
Yeah, that says fucking, I don't know, blowies for kudos or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, get on board with that.
Yeah, it'd be something wanky though. It'd be run quicker. There's a beer waiting for you at the end.
Yeah,
something shit and generic.
Yeah.
Something that actually makes you want to stop and punch them, not carry on running.
Yeah, exactly. So it's something that isn't. Also, I never read the signs when I'm running.
No.
I don't know about you.
Yeah. Well,
But-
it's notoriously hard to read when you fucking running.
Yeah. So I prefer someone to shout something at me personally.
Yeah.
If you've got a mantra that you're going to write down, just shout it, because fundamentally that's going to be more supporting to the individual you're trying to support. But yeah, you're right. If you go to a race day and you're just there to basically cobble together a post,
steal valor effectively.
yeah. Well,
If you're there to be a Walt, then fuck off.
yeah, exactly. Or here's a great idea: run the fucking race.
Run, yeah, exactly. Run, yeah. It's just
Mad,
so jarring.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of frustrated me. I must say, in the kind of, I don't know, best part of like 10 years or whatever now that I've kind of been doing organised races in the UK.
On the race scene.
Crowds have got a lot better.
No, they have, yeah.
And that partly can be attributed to the fact that running is now popular. But, with good comes bad.
Yeah.
And
It's hugely...
These are the dregs.
hugely popular now, and the show-up rate now for races, like even like 10Ks and halves, is huge compared to probably what it used to be. And the sign-up rate for London Marathon this year was
massive.
mental.
It's
like
huge.
500,000 in there, something.
Yeah,
Fucking wild. And that's people signing up for a sizable achieve, like a big. It's not like a 5K. People are there going, okay, I want to run 42 kilometers, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I think that part of the new age running culture is good, but we've got a dark underbelly
of Waltz.
Of Walt. Yeah,
No one likes a Walt.
exactly.
In any walk of life.
No, and we've experienced far too much in both.
In both.
Which is
Yeah.
mad.
So we're well versed to call them out.
Yeah. Anyway, that's how we sort of manufactured that on the way back from the weekend. We're now going to run you through.
Yes.
So are we going to just do it from the weekend standpoint, do you reckon?
we said, yeah. Well, should we do?
Not much happened in the week.
No, fuck all. So we won't bother with that. Should we do it chronologically?
Yeah.
And we say weekend. It's basically Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Big
Yeah.
Sunday though.
So Sunday started very early for me.
Yeah.
At about 5:45.
Yeah.
Which isn't really a time you want to be waking up on a Sunday.
Not really.
But so be it. These are the kind of sacrifices you have to make when you're
An elite athlete.
in the UK race scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I ran the Manchester Half Marathon basically.
Before that though, it's quite funny. So we all went to Manchester the night before. Me and Ed got a hotel, and one of the other lads was staying like across town, half an hour away, so I had to drop him off. I came back about just before midnight, maybe 11:30, and Ed is obviously already in bed because he's got to wake up, like you said, early. And I went in and you had full sleep mask on, ear plugged in. I was like, he can't fucking hear or see a thing. I was just being loud. I was like, I didn't wake you up.
Mate, I can't. It's so. This is a non-negotiable for me now. I feel naked when I sleep without an eye mask
Really?
and earplugs. They're goated.
I have tried eye masks. I wasn't a fan. I didn't like something on my face. I might try it
Yeah,
again.
it takes a while to get used
Does
to.
it?
And to be honest, I've got a shit cheap one. I should probably get a better one, for the amount
Oh,
of use I get
100%,
out of
yeah.
it. But
They're
like,
only like 20 quid, the good ones.
yeah, exactly. But now, when I don't sleep with it, the natural light, even if it just kind of creeps through the blinds or whatever, is so obvious. It just makes such a difference when you kind of literally... It's like you've curated your own little sleep deprivation chamber.
Yeah. Also...
Not sleep deprivation, sensory deprivation chamber, sorry,
sure.
for sleep.
Yeah. So also, I guess there's an association now of putting that like, the shutters come down.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're like, okay,
it's
sleep
a
time.
ritual.
Yeah. So I think you do it for long enough, it can be good. I might try it.
And if you don't like eye masks, definitely get earplugs.
Earplugs, yeah.
Because you're fucking dead to the world at that point. Like,
Yeah.
if you live on your own, potentially it might be a bit creepy because you would definitely not hear
A burglar.
anyone breaking into your house
Probably
to
not.
molest
Probably
you.
not ideal. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're into that kind
You'd
of thing,
still be asleep.
I'd love it. Yeah, I'll be bent over, ready.
That's how you sleep.
That's weird. He's got earplugs in, but
he's spread eagle.
He's assumed the position.
That's
yeah.
strange, isn't it?
And the window was open.
Yeah, so I might try this, but I can't do the earplugs thing because I sleep with podcasts on.
Well, that's your version of that, isn't it?
I guess so. Yeah.
Just basically to drown out any distracting.
Yeah, it was funny because
noise.
you just looked like you were dead.
Basically, it was. That's what is great.
Yeah, and then obviously you woke up early doors. I woke up a little bit later and came and met kind of you in town, which was the start of your half. How was it?
Yeah, sound. It was all right. As I said, I said to you, didn't I? It was better than the Birmingham half, which I did at the start of the month. Which is I can't speak any lower of that race.
Well,
It's
we did
shit.
cover that in detail last episode.
It's just so mediocre. Like to say that it costs about like 40, 50 quid to sign up to like a race,
main
like a half marathon. I just don't see where your money goes there.
And it is sort of representative of
Birmingham as a whole, yeah. Chester was probably the best one that I've done over the past few weeks. Very good race, which you'd expect because it is kind of one of the longest standing ones, from what I understand.
They've had a lot of iteration.
Yeah, exactly. Like 40 odd years, you'd hope they'd get it right in that time.
Correct.
And Chester's just a nice place anyway to kind of run around.
Yeah.
It's full of posh people, so make of that what you will. And then Manchester probably place it in between.
Yeah.
Obviously, Manchester's class. The route was a bit naff, but then there was loads of people out cheering you on.
It is strange. I was saying to you, they must struggle with routes around Manchester because the Manchester Marathon route was terrible as well. The full marathon.
So gash that.
And
a marathon as well. Like
so long, mate. Like imagine running up back and forth on yourself in a marathon. It'd be terrible. Also, on the marathon, you run through all the shitholes of Manchester.
Yeah, because you can just about avoid it with a half.
Yeah.
But like 26 miles, you're gonna have to fucking
go through the dregs.
Yeah, you can't hide there.
No.
Can you? There's no.
But you got what 142 or something?
Yeah, 142. So slowly chipping away.
Nice. Get yourself to that fucking 137 later on in the year.
Yeah, obviously there's a fucking squirrel watching us now. Yeah, the goal for the end of the year is to beat
stage fright.
Beat my half marathon PB, which is currently 138. So I'll keep you updated with that.
Easy, mate. How many more you got now?
Fucking loads, mate.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm 4 in.
Are you?
Yeah.
I thought you were more than that.
Nah,
That's
so
mad, isn't it?
I'm 4 in to obviously at the start of the year I said I was going to run 12 halves, one for every month this year, and we're now at the end of May and I've done 4.
Yeah,
which ain't too bad. I will get it done. I'm in a lot better place because this was a carryover from last year, and I obviously didn't put the time and effort necessary to plan all these races, so that never happened.
Yeah, we basically got to like September last year. And you'd done one.
We got to the point where I would have had to actually just do one every weekend until the end of the year.
Yeah,
and that was
there wasn't even one every weekend.
The hardest part about this challenge is actually the logistics of it,
and it's spenny.
Yeah, and it's expensive as well. It's kind of didn't really think that through when I set myself that challenge.
I did think that, but it's a cool thing to do, and it's a lot of miles to accumulate. But when's your next one? No.
July, early July.
Oh yeah, July.
Which probably will be a hot one.
It will.
Probably not that enjoyable for me. That is a one. This has absolutely nothing to do with the race organisation whatsoever. But the fact that it rained at the weekend did help me a lot. Obviously, everyone else in the country was fuming because it rained on bank holiday.
Yeah.
But I was fucking loving it.
And it's not stopped raining.
And it's now shitting it down. Which is so at the end of last week we alluded to the fact that we might go mobile with the podcast.
Oh yeah.
That obviously hasn't happened because it is still shitting it down.
Yeah, it has been for about 72 hours. It's been shit.
Yeah, he's gash.
But yeah, so we actually came into town to watch you, and I was saying to Jay the other day, we didn't actually see one runner, which was good. That was our planning that was terrible.
Yeah, you rocked up at the finish line, didn't you?
Well, we rocked up.
There was like a brief exchange for about 2 minminutes.
That's it.
And then the tension then turned to your event almost immediately because time was against us.
Yeah, well, I was there. We were there at the start line.
Yeah.
But we couldn't really position ourselves to actually watch the start because it was too busy. It's like 30,000 runners. So, too busy. We watched, I caught a little bit of the 10K or whatever. And then we went for breakfast at, what I thought was breakfast at this cafe that was on the finish line, which I thought ideal was stay here.
Yeah.
They didn't do food.
That is an issue
good.
when you go for breakfast.
It is. And then we went out of where the race stuff was to get breakfast. And then by the time we finished, you were finished.
Yeah.
So we didn't actually see anything. And then, like you said, as soon as you were finished, we sort of popped over to...
Our attention then turned.
It did, to the events of the rest of the day. So for anyone who doesn't know, or hasn't seen it on social, we hosted like a client-only event in Bolton. So obviously we were in Manchester, just drove over to Bolton about half an hour to host this like community event for my one-to-one clients, and it was just an afternoon, sort of 12:30 to 5ish. So we got there about 11:30, sort of thing, just to make sure everything was there.
Yeah.
Got there about 11:30, set everything up, which was a nightmare, but it is what it always is. We haven't hosted an event there before. We've hosted them historically out of Forder's Gym, which is local, which is helpful, and we've done it before, so we know what to do, we know where everything is. When it's the first time at a venue and it's a Sunday and no one's there, it's a bit of a nightmare sometimes. But now we've done one, the next one will be a bit smoother to set up. But I don't think it impacted the day anyway.
No, I thought it ran very smoothly. I had less input into this one because obviously beforehand we knew that I was running the half marathon.
Well, yeah.
So there was always going to be limitations.
We planned around that.
To how much input I was
How
going to
much
have.
energy you were going to have to put in.
But it was good because it then meant that I could kind of sit back and just observe the day as opposed to actually kind of
being involved with
running it. And it was good. I thought it was a really good event.
Yeah, I think it went well.
It was nice.
Had good feedback from it so far. So essentially we did a couple of practical sessions, one theory-ish session thing, and then a workout at the end. So it was sort of 4 hours-ish of kind of content for the guys to come up to. But the main thing with those events is that you're trying to bringing people together from all different areas of the UK. The issue with online coaching is that they get the coach and they get the program, but they're typically trying to, box around this pretty difficult goal on their own in the individual sort of town in the middle of fucking Devon or whatever, and no one in that town might be going to that same thing. No one in their community might be going to that same thing. So it can be difficult and you can feel isolated. Whereas you come to an event where people are marching towards a similar thing, then you can connect on different challenges that you may be having in common with the different people. So it's cool from that respect, and it also builds out a little bit more value than just calories and macros and training plan for the program.
Yeah, it's just the sense of community that you kind of establish, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's the first one of that kind we've done. So we'll do more of those. But like I say, it went really well, and the workout was fucking horrendous. I think everyone got a decent dose of fitness when they were from both of the physical sessions.
I mean, Hybrid Performance Centre is such a good gym.
So good.
We spoke about it in the last episode.
But you hadn't been?
I'd never been before. I'd obviously seen pictures of it, so I knew it was like there's only so much deception an image
Instagram can do.
Yeah, it's not like you can't really catfish a gym.
Yeah, you can. I think I've been catfished by a gym.
Really?
Yeah, but
in terms of kind of space perception, potentially.
That's what I
mean.
mean.
Like, unless they've literally kind of like photoshopped equipment. It is hard to kind of pull the wool over someone's eyes.
True.
But it is a really good gym. It's kind of like, if we were talking about a lot of commercial gyms being the antithesis of really what you'd actually want from a gym, I think Hybrid Performance Centre is a very good blueprint for a good gym.
Well, exactly. And the reason is because the two main guys who own it are like serious about their training.
Yeah.
Like really quite serious. And so they know
they know exactly what
what they want.
Yeah.
Meaning exactly what everyone else wants. They run like really good classes out of there, and then there's a next door where there's an actual kind of almost like akin to like a commercial gym.
It's a bit more of kind of like old school kind of like bodybuilding gym, I'd say. That's the kind of vibe it gave me.
But it's cool they've got both, because typically if you've got like a functional training area, like a CrossFit gym, they'll just be that, and that'll be it. Whereas they've got next door, you can go and do like pull down and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you got the best of both worlds if you want to do some kind of like isolation movements or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so really cool gym. It was ideal for that kind of event as well. Shitloads of space. You can give PowerPoints, you can do whatever. So
yeah, very informal as well.
Yeah, super informal. So
very relaxed.
So it suits the way I run things.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is good. So we've got another one.
Yeah, I was going to say plug it.
Yeah, we've got another one in June 16th. So a couple of weeks after this episode will go live. So if you want to get tickets to that, my Instagram top link will be the link. That's a public one. So that, like I mentioned, this one was client only. That one is going to be rolled out to everyone, and it is free. However, there is a donation option. So please be generous if you're going to.
Yeah, so you're effectively getting, should you decide you want to allocate your Sunday afternoon to come into this event, you're getting hundreds of pounds worth of kind of free knowledge and education.
And I'm paying.
He's coming out of his pocket. All you have to do is give, I don't know, 10, 20 quid to like reorg.
Yeah.
You don't even have to give that. But obviously, please do.
Yeah, the more generous you can be, the better.
I mean, if you want to be Jack, you can give a quid.
Yeah, you can. You can literally give like 10
and you can really milk the system if you want.
Yeah,
I'm not encouraging you to do that, but
that is an option.
Out of principle, you could do that.
Yeah. So this was an idea I had earlier on in the year where I wanted to put on a free. So we did seminars, as I mentioned, last year. We typically charged for those, and I wanted to do something a bit different this year where it was going to be basically free, with the option of a donation to raise a bit of money for charity, which is going to be cool. So, get yourself there if you're free on the 16th of June.
It also coincides with one of England's Euro group games, doesn't it, I believe? Mm-hmm. I can't remember which one it is, but one of the group games, potentially the first one, is on the evening of the seminar. So the intention is to go and watch it afterwards, basically.
100%. And
a bit of a social dynamic to the day.
Yeah.
If you want to stick around afterwards, book yourself a hotel or whatever, and we'll go and get scran and watch the football.
All are welcome. And I'm just in the process of confirming the speaker for that event. So,
I don't know.
You don't even know that?
That's how exclusive this is.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you after. But it's not confirmed yet. I would tell the podcast now. But I don't want to blow hot air. But yeah, that's the 16th of June, and then we'll probably run one in then later on in the year. But that's it for now. And that was this Sunday was cool. It was
good.
The first, like I say, first one of the year and the first one at that venue. So good to break the water.
Very well-oiled machine now. These seminars.
You see,
got a few under our belt.
Exactly. Even the first one was good.
Yeah, the first one was good, but they were kind of like very, very clear things that we could improve on. Not that they were bad, but kind of like they just weren't up to our kind of expectations. Yeah. And we have rectified them over the course of the past few that we've put on. So that's good. Moving in the right direction. I mean, content being the main one.
Oh, yeah.
Because the first seminar was really good, but we didn't really square away the actual kind of content capturing aspect of it, which is important because you then need that to put more on. Because it's like, look, we've done this before, it looks good. Here's the photographic evidence. Come.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we forgot to do that.
Well, we were wrapped up in making the actual event good quality.
Yeah, which is...
so it's fine, but... And to be fair, because of that, we got repeat custom in the other one. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it kind of feeds in. But I think because, first of all, this one's free. And it's in a different location, so if you're north of the wall, then you can probably make it a bit easier. And it's on a Sunday, so people shouldn't be working, etc. So it should be good, this one.
No excuses.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people gob off in, the fitness
certain
space.
Certain
circles about how much kind of supposed value clients are getting for what they pay. But, this genuinely is hundreds of pounds worth of kind of like free education and knowledge.
Yeah, believe me, because I am paying.
But yeah, believe me, because he is paying. So it's not a kind of pipe dream that we're trying to sell.
Yeah.
This is legit, and it will be good.
Yeah. So get yourself there if you are free, and there's not many tickets left, so I need to check Eventbrite. But there's not many tickets left at all. We're going to cap it at 50. So
that'd be really cool, actually, because like the one-to-one event was good because you had kind of like a hardcore group of people, so you could really kind of like get to know individuals, which is good. I think that's what kind of like those one-to-one seminars are for. But it will be an interesting dynamic when we've got kind of like 50 people in there.
Completely different.
Because that is a space that can house that many people as well.
Exactly, yeah.
So it'll be good to see everyone kind of fucking going at it.
Exactly.
Getting around each other.
Yeah, that's what we're about. Well, me and Blob were talking yesterday about how the workout can work, because it can be a little bit different, obviously having that many people in that space. But we're going to figure that out. But yeah, make sure you get a ticket sooner rather than later, because as soon as we launch this speaker, they're going to go. So probably get one now.
Yeah, because these are just the hardcore at the minute.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
These are the die-hard fans.
I've pushed it once.
Yeah.
And we're about 80% sold out.
These are the people that renew their season ticket, regardless.
Yeah. When their team goes down.
Yeah, when their team goes down, and then all the people that are going to try and get tickets when you announce the speaker are the people that kind of try and get a season ticket once the marquee summer signings announced. People start speculating about getting top 4.
Yeah. We're going to win the league, so you better jump on. But yeah, so that's kind of coming up. We've got the Red On event this weekend, which is Mike Chadwick's event, who's been on the podcast, friend of the pod. And that's going to be on Saturday this week, so that we can round up on that a little bit on Monday.
Next week's episode we'll touch on that, because I don't really know what to expect, to be honest.
I've no idea, no. It should be
so it'll be interesting. Someone else in the seminar space.
Yeah.
Steal his ideas. Probably stolen ours, because we're hoofings.
We were trendsetters, so...
So that's enough seminar admin anyway.
Yeah.
The take-home point from that is, come to the free event.
Yeah.
It's either underrated...
You've charmed me.
...or it's overrated.
Well, that was fucking dreadful.
Go on, I'll let you introduce it, because I did running waltz.
I've forgotten what we said. Fucking hell, what was it? You have as well.
Oh, that was it. Rest days.
Oh yeah.
Yes. This has become increasingly apparent to me. People don't really understand why you need rest days and why they're important.
True. Yeah. So again, we're coming from the angle of the science behind a rest day and why it's actually there, rather than just having them. Because I think I said this before. There'll be a lot of people listening who actually don't train enough to figure out to think. Oh, actually, I need more rest days.
Yeah.
And actually, maybe there's something they could be doing on the rest day, or maybe in their rest period, rest time,
that is still
that
active.
could be more productive.
Yeah. So I think yes. So we've got to caveat this, as with everything. It's not black or white. I'm not telling you to suddenly rap on all your training, but I think a lot of people think the purpose of a rest day is just so you don't spend every day in the gym. It's almost psychological more than anything. That's not the purpose of a rest day. The purpose of a rest day is that your body can actually recover and repair, so you can then grow and become fitter and stronger.
Well, yeah, it's a classic, isn't it? People think that when you're actually getting fitter and stronger is when you're in the gym doing the work, but that's not the case.
That's actually the opposite.
Well,
that's you damaging.
You're breaking down.
Yeah, you're actually breaking your body down.
So if you think you're breaking down every time you do that, if you just continually do that, you're just continually breaking down. There's no regeneration. So ideally, you break down, regenerate a little bit higher, break down, regenerate higher, and there's this little staircase effect.
Yeah.
That you go on, and if you, I think, in my opinion, if you have maybe not all the time to train because you train a bit more, but if you have a decent amount of time to train, I quite like the split or the schedule of 3 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off. So you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and you can train hard there because you're kind of diminishing by Wednesday. Then you have Thursday off to replan, and then you're good to go then for Friday and Saturday to hit it hard again, Sunday off.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic split. If you can stick to that, that's really good. And you can take that away free. There you go.
More free value for you there.
But I think that's really good because, again, I think Monday, super intense because you just come off the weekend. Tuesday, you can still ride the line a little bit. Wednesday, you kind of sore or whatever, but you can still go for it. Thursday, you're thankful for that rest day because then you're like, thank God I'm not doing anything. And then it replens you for Friday.
It comes back to the whole concept of junk volume as well. I feel some people feel compelled to train every day because
they feel like they're doing more busy work.
Because it just makes them feel better. They're kind of, it's this got like a scab that needs to be scratched. But obviously, if you just keep picking at the scab, it never heals.
Yeah, true. Just like your body, if you keep training.
Yeah, exactly. It's just stress plus stress plus stress equals fucking injury.
Well,
so you need the stress plus rest equals growth. That's the equation.
That is the equation we want to be hitting. I think if you're one of those people where you think that not doing something is, effectively going to push you backwards, there's a couple of things. I think, first of all, go to the gym anyway and just do mobility or something.
That's such a low-hanging fruit because then, if we go back to the scab analogy, you've scratched the scab without actually scratching it.
Yeah,
because you're in the space of the gym, you're around people training, you're still doing something that's kind of net beneficial, but you actually haven't put yourself in the locker again.
Yeah. So you're still recovering. You're actually recovering better, in fact.
Yeah, exactly.
But psychologically, you're in there as well, and you can do that. And I think, the other thing you can maybe do if you are someone who's got a pretty high training age and you can handle the volume, is that you can train hard. Say you do weights, whatever, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then on Thursday still feel like you need to do something. Maybe do an easy run or something like that. So it's different. So you're still recovering from the weight side of things, still getting the strength benefit or whatever, and then you are going to then run.
Some like mega low impact cardio, like
Yeah, or
bike or
just
swimming.
whatever low intensity is. I
Yeah.
mean, running can be still low intensity.
Well, not you fat bastard like me.
Yeah, true. So it's concept specific, but I think if you do have to do something, a swim is a great option. Like if you're going to go
Swimming's great.
swim for
And
45 minutes.
This comes from someone who can barely swim and he's shit at it. But I can park my biases and just accept the fact that it is great. I wish I was better at it.
Yeah, swimming is really good.
it would make up probably, a good portion of like my low impact zone 2 work.
Yeah, because it's zero impact.
Because it's just so good.
Completely zero
From that it's like hits the nail on the head.
Yeah, and actually, it's really quite good for your like breathing mechanics because you're forced to sort that out.
Well, because you drown otherwise.
Well, yeah. when you're running out, you can breathe whenever. Obviously, you have no real constraints there. But when you're swimming, because you've got to hold your breath, breathe, it forces you into a good rhythm and a good habit.
It makes you think
breathing.
consciously about your breathing. Whereas with running, because you're
often
people neglect the importance of their breathing and instead concentrate on kind of their running mechanics, which is still important. But with swimming, it really like forces the issue because if you don't, you'll swallow a shitload of water and drown, as we said. So.
Well, we've spoken before about running in front of people on half marathons that are, 2K in and just sound like they're fucked.
Mate, there's so many of
mental,
them.
mate.
You feel bad for them because they are going to cream in.
Well,
but
yeah.
You can't give them a pep talk, like
Halfway, well, they couldn't hear you 'cause
halfway
you're
around
breathing
where
too loud. But
well, they do sound like a fucking cow in distress.
well, those people just haven't sorted their breathing mechanics out. Like that, you should not be and pacing. You should not be working that hard that early on, even late on, really.
Yeah, because like let's assume kind of like that level of breathing would kind of indicate that you're in kind of like zone 4 heart rate. You can't really sustainably hold that for like 2 hours.
No.
And if you do, you'd be in a very bad way at the end of it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
again,
so to bring it back to rest days, think more critically about your training. What's the end goal and how can you get there in the most time efficient way?
and energy efficient.
And
no one
energy
wants to just
efficient.
be-
Just it's all about streamlining your training basically. Like, are the things that you're doing necessary to get you to where you want to be? And if they're not, then cut them out. Focus on the things that will get you there, and the rest of the time spend resting and recovering because you'll get there quicker.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's and I think they're underrated because of that. Because people think that
Yeah. So is this a symptom of kind of like the hybrid athlete kind of
sphere.
that's emerged now? Because I guess people are constantly bombarded with people with a very high kind of training tolerance, basically constantly moving.
Yeah,
So then you feel like a sack, basically, don't you, for not
constantly
being
moving.
yeah for not constantly moving.
Yeah,
but
well-
you can't compare yourself to those people because a lot of them were kind of either elite sports people that never made it pro and are now kind of like influencers or whatever, or they are professional athletes.
Yeah. Again, there's a fine line, isn't there? Because a lot of people probably can do more than they are doing, but there's a certain cohort that probably feel like they're not doing enough because they're only ever exposed to people doing more and more. So, like, if you look hard enough, you're going to find a Russ Cook who runs across fucking Africa. It's not really helpful to compare yourself to someone like that who's putting in 200 miles a week or whatever he was doing. Where when you're putting in 20 a week, which is plenty, but you still feel like you're doing fuck all.
Yeah, Russ
So
Cook's,
it can
Russ Cook's
dwarf your achievement.
Yeah, and Russ Cook's a good example actually because there's a narrative going around that he's kind of just like a normal bloke who just like turned up in South Africa one day and cracked that mental challenge. It's not. He's been running marathons for years.
It's because he's so unassuming.
Yeah. But he's very good at creating that and to a certain extent he is a normal guy in that he has very normal origins and he wasn't kind of like a youth athlete or whatever.
Yeah.
But he has been on this trajectory for years now.
Yeah, he didn't just rock up, like you say, and do that. I mean, he's done like...
He ran from
Asia to London.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a mental achievement in itself. Like, for most people, that would be the greatest thing they ever achieved.
And then he just won up to it.
So he's been building up to this. It's not like he's just kind of like got out of bed hungover one day.
Which is what it makes him
Which
seem.
it does seem like that.
And a lot of these people are like... well, a lot of the people you maybe follow are kind of quite nonchalant about how much they are doing.
Yeah.
Even, running like marathons and then doing the lifting stuff. A lot of them, because they just take it in their stride because they're that kind of person, and they don't maybe give it the grandeur that it deserves. And sometimes if they're doing,
just because they downplay it subconsciously,
they're not doing it on purpose, and that can often make you feel like what you're doing is.
So don't let it
shit.
get to you. Remember, you've just got to run your own race, quite literally.
Exactly, and fundamentally, get on a fucking program and stick to it because that's going to be the best answer, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the simplest solution to this is if you're unsure in any way about kind of how much you should be doing, how little you should be doing, when you should be resting, when you should be training, employ the services of someone who can point you in the right direction. So be it a program or a coach.
Ideally, you have then someone who can hold you accountable to not doing too much and to not overcooking it.
Yeah. In the same way, if your boiler blew up, you wouldn't be expected to fucking replace it yourself. You'd get a gas engineer.
Because you'd probably fuck it up.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same with training, isn't it? But yeah, so rest days, massively underrated in my opinion.
Yeah.
Due to the emergence of kind of like mental hybrid athlete content.
Well, yeah, the amount of people I speak to on sort of screening calls as well who are just rocking up in the gym and just going, well, I fancy doing this today.
Yeah,
and that's just mad, because that means you're probably going to go, what do I like most? I like doing lat pull downs, probably that 3 times a week.
Yeah, so you're just...
All of a sudden you've got bicep tendonitis.
Yeah, you're purely at the whim of your biases there.
Yeah.
Because
So
you're
there's no
subconsciously,
objectivity
you are going to default to what you just kind of naturally prefer. Or
And
are
you'll
good at.
steer away from things you maybe should do that you aren't then
Yeah, exactly.
liking.
That's why it's a good... That's another underrated reason to get a coach, because they make you do shit you don't want to do.
100%.
And you hate them at the time, and then you thank them later on.
Exactly.
Reasons to be cheerful.
Do some Tory bashing now.
Yeah, this is Ed's favourite part of the podcast. So
Plenty more of this coming in the next few months. Strap in, Tories. 'Cause
Yeah.
You're going to have a rough old time.
Can't wait for the YouTube comments on this one.
Yeah, we'll definitely clip this bit up as well, because it'd be funny.
Yeah.
Get the gammons irate in the comments.
There is now an announced general election on July 4th.
Yes. So this is long overdue. I called it ages ago. You may remember the clip that we put up about what have the Tories done in 14 years, apart from gay marriage, which arguably would have happened anyway, regardless of the administration.
Well, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? Yeah, not a lot, really.
Well, they've done fuck all. In fact, they've actually made the country markedly worse, which is good.
I mean, a lot of that's Brexit,
Yeah,
which is dealt with by the Conservatives.
You know, it was their thing, wasn't it? David Cameron, obviously instigated Brexit, tried to call the party's bluff,
I know.
and then we ended up leaving the EU, which obviously has made us significantly
So mad,
worse
innit?
off. Yeah.
So like the fact that he announced it because he didn't believe in it, but he was like, well, if I have a referendum, then it'll just shut everyone up.
Yeah, well,
He kind of just and
again,
he shouldn't be a gambling man, should he?
Yeah,
Stay away from the casino.
and it's bullshit because having basically led the country to one of the worst political decisions that it's ever made, he then stepped down as Prime Minister. A few years later, he got made a Lord, and he's now Foreign Secretary.
It's good, isn't it?
So that's good.
Yeah.
British politics got a really good tradition of rewarding absolute fucking charlatans and crooks.
Yeah. And not even so a charlatan and a crook should be punished.
Yeah.
Actually, they just get rewarded.
Exactly. It's not even like they just get away with it. So if getting away with it is just continue straight, kind of punished is left.
Yeah.
We actually go veering right because
Yeah.
we're rewarding them.
It's mad, and they always get reinstated as something.
Yeah. But anyway, happy days. There's going to be an election. The Conservatives are going to lose significantly if the latest polling's anything to go by.
Yeah.
To the extent that they could actually no longer be a kind of functioning political party. They may not actually be able to kind of function an opposition, cobble together an opposition.
I'm not sure because polls often aren't 100%, are they? Obviously, because
Not 100%,
people don't vote
but
in the polls, but
they are a lot more accurate than they used to be. Over the past kind of like decade or so, They have become
They've gotten
very
better.
accurate. It wasn't like in the 70s where they'd just go and ask a load of old women on a high street.
No, I know.
I think it was kind of like...
It's better now, but I still think they'll have a resurgence. Hopefully not to the point where they get anywhere near winning, but I think they will have a little bit of resurgence.
This is like these are like the last days of Rome.
Yeah, they're
This
just
is
pulling,
getting desperate
pulling
already.
policies out their arse.
We're
aren't
about 4 days into the campaign,
Yeah.
and they've just lost their head already. Basically,
Well,
the national service thing was mental.
That was good,
because we
wasn't it?
obviously said that on again. They're stealing our policies. That's how desperate they are.
Yeah. Vote Brummy Brothers.
Vote Brummy Brothers, yeah. Because it's obviously all well and good us having a laugh and saying that we should reintroduce national service, but when you are actually the serving government, you need to kind of do the maths on these things before you announce it.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Well, we didn't, try and roll it out across the country with a budget and everything, but they have.
Yeah.
And it's not doesn't make for pretty reading.
I
Really.
like to think in number 10 now, it's got to the point where they've just got like a tombola full of random policy ideas.
Random policy ideas that old people.
It's kind of like pro old people. Kind of how come you shit on young people? And so they're all in a tombola, right? And every morning, Rishi rolls the tombola and he'll pick one out and he'll be like, "Are we going to run with this today?"
Increased tax threshold, great.
Yeah. Increase your pension. Yeah, we like that one. That's a standard. They always reel that one out. I think they did that one today. Obviously, we've had
did they?
national service. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring back smoking in pubs.
There'll be something to do with housing.
Oh yeah, there'll be something to do with housing. Yeah. Ban
Building on the green.
the
belt
green
or-
belt's a good one. Ban under 30s from buying housing.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Imprison children. Bring back slavery. All that. They love all that.
Yeah. Every person over 60 gets a slave.
Yeah, bring back racism on TV, like the 70s when everything was good.
Yeah. So they'll get probably to that point in not that long. If you're 4 days in and you've already national service button.
When you've already deployed the national service, secret weapon, should we say? When are they going to go nuclear?
Well, it doesn't really work. We speak about this, but national service it sounds great on the face of things, I think, because a lot of the way I think and the way I probably do things is informed by my time in the military. But if it's just not financially viable to do, then it's not I think they say 2 billion.
Yeah, so I think initially they were going to allocate 2 billion from somewhere towards this national service. And then someone crunched the numbers on that, taking into account how many kind of 18-year-olds there are at the moment, and how much it would cost to kind of house and train and pay them. And it would work out at about £6,000 per head, which is fuck all.
I haven't really thought that through.
I haven't really thought that through because I think how much on average it take to train a Royal Marine?
I think 100 grand, I think.
About 100 grand. That's a conservative estimate as well.
Yeah.
It's probably more than that. So if you think what 100 grand gets you, kind of like a tier 2.
Think about what 6 grand
Think about
gets
what 6... You're talking kind of like, here's a stick, look after it for a year, we'll see you then.
Well, that's 6% of the capacity of a Royal Marine. You don't really want that.
You certainly don't want that with a firearm.
No. There are still lads in the Royal Marines who,
Shouldn't be trusted with
who
firearms.
mess up, who lose weapons on Dartmoor, for example.
Yeah,
But,
exactly. So imagine if you're dealing with, 6% of that.
Yeah. Not going to be great at navigation
No.
or anything. But yeah, so it's a bit mental. The thing is as well, I heard this the other day that there's actually no criminal sanction if you don't want to do it. So I don't really get it. It's like a little two-pot policy they haven't really thought about. Because they're like, you have to, national service typically is mandatory conscription. That's what it means, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you have to do something at 18. It's not like you can just opt, because now you can opt.
Yeah, because what
anything.
you've done there is you've not changed anything.
Yeah, literally. Because they're like, you can choose to spend a year in the forces, or you can volunteer 1 weekend a month. But if you don't want to do either of those, then nothing happens.
And it's bullshit. The whole volunteering at like a care home or helping out in hospitals is bullshit, because that's just papering over the cracks of all their fucking austerity bullshit spending cuts.
Yeah.
It's like, help out in a hospital because we're understaffed. Yeah, we're understaffed because you fucking gutted the place of all of its funding.
Can you imagine? Again, because this is going to be so rushed and underfunded. Can you imagine untrained 18-year-olds in a hospital
helping out in A&E?
Yeah. What good are they going to do?
Yeah. Well, your results are back. The good news is we can operate on it. The bad news is Timmy's doing the operation, and it's his first procedure. He's had 6 grand's worth of
Yeah,
training.
and you've got a
which
6% survival rate.
He's had 6 grand's worth of training. He started last Tuesday, and he's quite nauseous around blood.
Yeah, and he has killed 6 patients already. But I don't get what they can do, because it sounds great to have more hands on deck, but you're quite literally just going to have just more hands. They're not going to be skilled people.
Yeah.
And they're talking about, we're going to bolster the defence. It's bollocks. It's bullshit. Because again, like we said, if they're not trained well, they actually be a detriment versus a benefit. And the other thing is that they definitely haven't thought about is how are they going to box around the issue of people just not being physically capable to do it?
Well, they haven't, have they? And the 6 grand of funding that you get per head isn't going to fucking even make a dent in that, is it?
No. So the amount of fucking obese kids, like, how are we going to turn around to them fat fuckers and go, here you are, mate, here's a 18-year-old, off you go.
Well, it's a classic example of bullshit flag waving jingoism, isn't it? It's just like old people immediately just get behind it. They don't need to unpack it in their head. They don't need to think about it.
Yeah.
It's like national service. I know what that is. Not that they did it.
No.
They're because their parents' generation did it now.
Yeah.
We've got to a point where they can't even call for it because they didn't do it themselves.
I know.
It's like, oh yeah, they should do that. Well, did you do it? No, I didn't do it. My parents did it. Right, what do you mean then? You didn't fucking do it. Why are you trying to make someone else do it?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think and again, I might disagree, but I don't think that on the face of it, it's a bad idea. I think it probably should be a thing. If it was, again, viable and they thought about it a little bit more and they have had some sort of infrastructure in place to make it workable, I think it could be a very good thing. Because I think fucking 18-year-olds probably have got limited purpose and limited discipline and limited structure. I think if you did have the implementation of that for a year at 18, it probably would be net positive. But you have to do the maths, like you say. You have to actually put something practical together for it.
It's the context of it, isn't it? It's like, yes, in principle, if you could find a way to make it work, great. But if you've just pulled it out of your policy tombola 4 days into a general election campaign,
when you're down in the polls,
and you're just looking for quick wins, like, it's just, there's a time and a place for things.
Yeah, it's just a bit mad. I think we are terribly understaffed in the military, but still, we're terribly understaffed everywhere.
That's the thing. Is the solution to that loads of sprogs who don't know what they're doing?
Who don't want to be there?
Who don't want to be
That's
there?
the
Probably
other
not.
thing. The other thing is, you can have a shitload of numbers, but if they're all threaders and don't want to be there, then they're probably, again, a detriment to the service. Because the people who are actually in... So imagine if you take the Marines, for example. The people who are in there who've chosen to be there since, whenever this gets implemented, since before then, they've chosen to be there, they've done the training, done whatever, and they're keen and whatever. And then you get an injection of, like, say, a load of sprogs who are just now threaders.
Yeah.
Shit, because they've fucking been rushed
shit on everyone's bonfire, isn't it?
It's just going to create a shit atmosphere. And I think
it's just classic stat padding as well, though, isn't it?
Look how many people we've got.
They love doing it with employment figures.
Yeah.
They'll find a way for loads of people to get shit 0-hour contracts. So kind of like on paper they're not unemployed anymore. Yeah. And it's like, look, we've halved unemployment, but it's that actually these people are just as kind of impoverished and financially vulnerable as they were before. It's just that now...
Technically, they've got a contract.
Now, technically, they are not unemployed.
Yeah.
Which is just like papering over the cracks again, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a prime example of that. And I don't know how this will work. I'm kind of interested to...
Well, it won't work because they won't get elected.
Well, that's what I mean.
So we'll never see the potential fruits that could have been born from this policy.
I'd just be interested to see what would happen. Because, again, I think our youth, for the most part, could do with a bit of a kick of the arse.
Yes, but to bring it back to the general election, two take-home points. Firstly, for anyone that says that Keir Starmer's boring, that's good, because that means he's going to do all the boring shit politics that hasn't been done for the past 14 years. That's actually a selling point at this. At this
100%.
At this stage in British politics, we want someone that's boring. Because guess what? I'm not voting them to fucking entertain me on a Saturday night. I'm voting them to do loads of boring administrative shit that means that the country runs smoothly and that we're all a bit better off.
Yeah, well, exactly. And again, if you invert it and have the opposite of Keir Starmer, who is Boris Johnson, look how that went. Like that was horrendous and a fucking absolute nightmare.
And the best example of this is that everyone said that Joe Biden was fucking boring and that Trump's funnier. But 4 years down the line or whatever, look at the US economy. It's bounced back, and it's like, oh, Sleepy Joe doesn't know what he's doing. Fuck Sleepy Joe. His team know what they're doing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and the economy's booming.
Yeah, exactly. So I agree. I think voting, and that's the problem with politics being like a popularity contest, because
It doesn't.
it doesn't really yield the best politician. It yields the best speaker or the best whatever. So that's why Boris Johnson got in.
Which is great on the election trail, but then, once all the cameras have gone and they're actually in number 10 and they actually have to start making decisions, they come unstuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why you get kind of people like Boris Johnson with the endless kind of Partygate scandal fiascos, because they're just completely out of their depth.
Yeah, I'd actually, and this is a bit of a nihilistic take, but I would be interested to know, if you didn't have Instagram, TikTok, the news, if you didn't know what was going on, right? 4 years down the line, would you even know anything changed? Probably not. I don't think you would.
What do you mean in terms of, like, if you're just an average person?
Yeah, if you're just a normal person in society and Keir Starmer gets elected in July, in 3 years, I don't think you'd notice.
Well, basically, the metrics that most of the general population use when voting, I think, are kind of how much disposable income I have, how much my bills are, how much my weekly shop costs, stuff like that. How good my kids' education
But it's
is.
immediate things that are immediately obvious to that individual. So it's probably it's financial stuff. Generally.
Yeah, it's not kind of like, it's not the macro big picture stuff, like what's the state of kind of like foreign policy. It's stuff that immediately relates to you, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, humans are kind of inherently
you have to look after
self-absorbed.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's just interesting. I think because a lot of the worry and angst about actually who gets in is because you see it all the time and you expose yourself to it and whatever. And I think actually, would there be that much difference? I think a lot of people could be better served worrying about what they're doing as an individual rather than.
Well, no. In the current state of things, like the Tory argument is, well, there's loads of uncertainty with Labour. That's fucking bullshit. You've had 14 years to do what you want to do,
I know,
and you've actually done the opposite.
Yeah.
So you can't then say, oh, well, you don't want a Labour government because what if they fuck things up? Well, you've already fucked it up.
I know.
So the worst that can happen is they continue to fuck it up, which is what's happening now. The best that can happen is they actually reverse some of the fuckery.
I know, which is the problem with, again, if Labour probably will get in.
They will get in.
And then in 2 years, they're probably still just going to be undoing what the Conservatives did. Which means you'll probably look at them and go, well, they fucking haven't done that well, have they? It's a bit like when a new manager gets in a really shit team.
Yeah, they have been very good at the minute. I know we're only about a week in at kind of expectation management, though, Labour.
Oh, yeah,
because they're only putting things forward that they know, A, they can finance, and B, they can realistically do.
Well, that's the opposite to what Rishi's doing.
Well, exactly, so it actually makes him look an even bigger prat.
Because he actually said, I mean, Keir Starmer said in one of his speeches, he was like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that in 2 months everything's going to be fucking amazing.
Like, this is going to be like a long-term thing. It's going to take
years
years to reverse this, which is good because that's very anti-populism.
Yeah.
Which is the whole fucking the doctrine that's got us in this mess in the first place. It's telling people what they want to hear, even though you can't actually fulfil it.
That's the Conservatives all over, isn't it?
Yeah, it's bollocks.
Yeah.
Well, this form of conservatism anyway. I mean, I don't fucking buy into conservatism regardless, but the kind of the veer to the right that it's taken in the past few years.
It's just I think it's the individuals on the fucking front end. To be honest, I'm not even sure it's that historically what that party's about, but it's just the actual individuals we've elected have just stunk.
Yeah,
they're just horrendous people.
You know that the government's taken a turn for the worse when you look back on people like David Cameron as kind of stalwarts of kind of integrity.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because he's morally bankrupt.
Yeah.
And you look back on him now as one of the good guys, which is fucking perverse, isn't it?
Which is only because of how morally reprehensible the others are.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is mad. Because, I mean, the government that took us through COVID were fucking abhorrent.
Well, this is the thing. So it's like, well, it can't get worse than that. And then we had fucking the
mini budget.
We had the cameo from Liz Truss's government, didn't we?
That was fucking wild,
So right now, Liz Truss is basically doing a world book tour, right, at the minute. Kwasi Kwarteng isn't in prison,
Yeah.
What's going on there? Again,
don't-
these people have been rewarded.
They tanked the economy.
They tanked the economy in like less than a month.
I don't know.
She got outlasted by a fucking cabbage or whatever it was, or a lettuce.
Yeah, by a fucking pint of milk.
And now she's made millions from a fucking book deal.
I know. And
Her gobbing off about how she could have done things differently if she hadn't completely derailed the economy.
How much do they get now on the back end when they retire from being prime minister? It's a ridiculous.
Oh yeah,
amount, isn't it?
they get an annual salary basically to do
Like
kind of like
150k.
to do kind of like diplomatic duties. They get an office space. They get like 100k a year to basically parade around and talk about what they did when they were prime minister, which is all well and good if you were like, I don't know, John Major or or Tony Blair. And
Well, that's when it was instated, probably.
Yeah, and you were a proper politician, and you kind of enacted real policies that made changes to people's lives. If you're Liz Truss and you were only there for a month, you're still entitled to that lifetime kind of benefit.
Yeah.
But you actually, not only did you not achieve anything, you
Actively made it worse.
You actively made things worse, and
and
now,
you were there for about 5 minutes.
You were there for 5 minutes, and now you're getting paid, $100,000 a year to gob off about that.
Yeah, it's wild.
Which is that's immediately $100,000 that can go towards national service. There you go, Rishi.
Yeah.
Some simple budget maths for you there. Fuck her off.
Take that off her. 'Cause
And
she,
give it
first
some
of all, doesn't
sprogs.
need it. Doesn't deserve it. Yeah, it's a wild thing. Politics is so mad to me. It's
this is
just
why
so broken. Like,
Yeah, this is why most like normal people with actual responsibilities and stress in their life can't be fucked with it. Because I mean, like you spend 5 minutes reading the paper and you're like, these people are out of touch. They know nothing about normal life.
Yeah.
I'm immediately bought out with the entire process.
yeah, but it's the thing of incompetence getting rewarded. Like, it doesn't happen anywhere else. Anywhere else that you look at that's semi-successful in terms of business or whatever, it's the opposite of that. You reward competence and you not punish, but you
Don't reward.
You don't reward someone who's fucked it, and you pretty much if you continually mess it up on it. Say you were in fucking sales for a business, right, and you continually missed your targets for like fucking 2 years, 14 years, right, and then you still had that job selling for that business. I would wager that business is probably going to go out of business.
Yeah, well, it's a good example, the sales one, actually. So say if you're a salesman for a company, right, if you not only didn't make the company any money, but you were making sales for yourself whilst working for the business, like, that's effectively what Boris Johnson did, because he made the country significantly worse off.
And made himself better off.
But he directly profited from it.
Yeah, so I think
So it's like that person would immediately get fired from the company.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about it in that
The context,
light.
yeah.
Imagine the country as
A business.
the company.
Yeah.
And obviously the politicians as like the managing directors and CEOs and stuff.
Yeah, so you've had a CEO for 14 years who's made the company a lot worse off, and it's not actually functioning as a business anymore.
Yeah.
Should that person be given another chance, or should you get another CEO in?
I don't think that's how Gymshark run.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just mad to me. Again, like we have examples as humans that we are competent in certain things. And so why can't we just wash that over and map that over into something that is like the most important thing we have, which is running the fucking country?
Yeah.
It's just mental. But yeah, I think politics could do with a bit of a facelift, but I think everyone agrees with that.
Yeah. Well, I think
But I think in July we'll have a different party, so we'll see what the difference is.
Well, to round up, my 2 points would be, as an individual, you have a right to vote. Make the most of that. That is you kind of exercising your democratic rights. But
Yeah.
you now need to make sure you're registered to vote, and you need photographic ID to vote, don't you?
Yeah.
So make sure you got that squared away before July the 4th, is it?
4th, yeah.
Yeah. Secondly, if you're sat on the fence, you're a bit of a floating voter, and you don't know whether you can back a Labour government, because you've been fed loads of bullshit about how they're all communists, ask yourself, should we really give someone who's already had 14 years to make the country better and hasn't been able to do that another chance?
Yeah.
The worst that can happen is we continue to get poorer, which is what's happening now. The best that can happen is we become slightly less poor in a few years.
And I would also encourage you not to waste your vote on a two-bob party like fucking
Reform
UK,
Yeah,
which certain individuals work for and represent. But I've worryingly seen a big trend on TikTok. I sent you a TikTok the other day.
Oh, I get all this all the time now. Nigel Farage gobbing off about how
But the
there's an
worrying thing
existential threat to the UK because someone's fleeing a war zone in Iraq.
Yeah.
Like, fuck off. You're the biggest threat to the UK. You're the reason for Brexit, you fucking selfish cunt. Your missus is German. You said if we left the EU...
That you'd move to Germany.
that you'd move to Germany. And you're still here stinking the gaff out.
Yeah.
So my question to you, Nigel, is when are you going to cross the channel in the opposite direction?
Yeah, we'll tag him in that.
You fucking charlatan.
And the thing is, the worrying thing, I'm seeing a lot of comments in favour of this Reform UK. And they're like thousands of them. And obviously that's a minor part of the country, right? But it's a worrying trend towards the right.
Yeah, with this jolt to the... Again, this is all the more reason why we need a sensible, boring, centrist Prime Minister who re-establishes some actual fucking competency and order in Parliament. Because at the minute, we're just being run by clowns who will say the most ludicrous thing that will get them a headline.
You know what the problem is, though? I think that because we're now in this social media sort of environment where the popular thing is now the right thing. So the thing that gets clapped the most, thing that gets liked the most is that's correct.
Yeah.
Whereas that now it stands in lieu of the actual truth and the actual objective right thing to do.
Yeah, the
and
post-truth age.
Yeah, so
where you can
sometimes
just make your own truth.
Well, yeah, sometimes I mean that can probably wash over into politics where we think who's the most likeable individual, which isn't actually the best lens to look for.
Well, the irony is that between Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer, he's still the most likeable.
No, I know
because Rishi Sunak's a fucking hat. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
he's the most out of touch bloke I've ever met, and the only reason he's fucking called an election is because when he does eventually get booted out, it still gives him time to fuck off to Silicon Valley and get his kids into a US school before September.
You know what's funny is there's a interview of him and his wife trying to basically lie about what household chores they do. Have you seen this?
Have you seen the clip of him doing some really kind of fucking orchestrated, like painfully wooden, kind of like PR stunt in like a homeless kitchen?
Yes, I have. Yeah,
he's serving. This homeless guy a fucking meal, and then he asks this homeless guy if he's a business owner.
Yeah. It's fucking mental.
He's so out of touch, bro. The guy doesn't know where his next meal's coming.
That's what he's here.
He's certainly not a fucking entrepreneur.
That's what he's a business owner.
And the other classic one was from a few years ago when he was Chancellor, when he was doing like a photo. Like a PR stunt at a petrol station. He couldn't fucking fill up a car.
I remember that, yeah.
Which is mental.
Yeah.
Like that is fucking mental.
It's off, isn't it? It's just, again, those things are examples of how well out of touch he is. And I think Keir Starmer comes across a bit more genuine.
Well, I mean, he's as normal as you can possibly be for someone kind of that high up in politics.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, he plays five-a-side. He supports Arsenal.
Yeah.
He's not a billionaire.
He's quite well off, isn't he?
He is, but it's kind of like it's self-made in that he used to be, chief of the Crown Prosecution Service.
Yeah,
so he was basically in charge.
Mad lawyer.
Yeah, mad. It's not like it's not inherited wealth.
No.
So yeah. On that note,
vote smartly.
Basically, yeah. Don't waste your vote. Let's annihilate this Conservative Party. try and be as kind of centrist as we can, but you know sometimes you've got to call a spade.
Yeah.
And this is bullshit.
Yeah, that was reason to be cheerful.
Yeah, the reason to be cheerful there is I know we've just talked about how fucked Britain is. The positive to take from that is that we now have a choice to make. Do we want to stick to getting poorer?
Yeah.
Or do we potentially want to get someone in who's going to make us a bit more well off?
It's a bit like if you were like a UFC fighter and you just continue on the mat getting kicked in the face, and someone offers you an out and you just like continue to lie.
It's all right, I've got used to it now.
Yeah, continue to lie. I've gone numb now.
Yeah, I've gone numb now. It's all right. Yeah, I can't feel the ones in my bollocks anymore.
Continue to get malleted by kicks.
Yeah.
So don't lie on the mat and suffer. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.